everybody, it's Dean. Once again, welcome to Bring Back Rock. I was just on vacation in the Smoky Mountains. Got me thinking of a smoky, sultry, sexy singer named Sandy Saraya. They're a New Jersey band, and it is pronounced Saraya. If you're like me, you may have been mispronouncing it as Saraya for the past 30 years. But it is Saraya, which was Sandy's middle name. They're a band that weren't her solo project or anything. All right, so we're going to talk about Saraya. And just before the music samples, I'll share you a little memory about the night that I saw them live for the first time. All right, and I called her sexy. She never really understood why she was considered sexy, just wearing jeans and a t-shirt. But as we all know, jeans and a t-shirt on the right person can be very sexy. All right, let's get right to it. Not going to bore you anymore. This is New Jersey's Saraya. A young Sandy Saraya found her voice by practicing singing in front of a mirror in her New Jersey basement, learning about bands like Judas Priest and the Scorpions from her brother, and loving the band Journey and finding inspiration in Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders. Sandy found a songwriting partner in Greg Munier, M-U-N-I-E-R, just in case I mispronounced that. Even though they had different tastes in music, she fell in love with his playing and songwriting. Early on, they would often pretend to be a couple so Sandy could avoid any unwanted attention. Early on, the band was going to be called Alsace-Lorraine, before switching to Saraya. They did end up with an instrumental on that first album called Alsace-Lorraine, as Saraya fans will recognize. Now, Greg and Sandy signed with manager David Sonnenberg, giving him the lion's share of their publishing. When recruiting guitarist Tony Bruno Ray, he balked at giving up his publishing, causing some friction in the band. He stands by his decision, and Sandy stands by hers, saying David was a huge part of their success, and the publishing was a price to pay to have his connections and influence. Tony was actually fired from the band at one point. He left and he went to play guitar with Danger Danger, playing most of the guitar parts on their debut album. Al Pitrelli was tapped as his replacement. However, the producer insisted the guitarist on the demos play on the album. So Tony Bruno Ray was brought in to record the album and eventually ended up joining the band. Okay, about Tony. Sometimes he's Tony Ray, sometimes he's Tony Bruno, sometimes he's Tony Bruno Ray. So from now on, he's just Tony. And for the rest of this video. Saraya's self-titled album was released in 1989. Interesting story about the first single, Love Has Taken Its Toll. The solo used there wasn't even supposed to be recorded, but somebody had hit the record button, and once they heard it, they decided it was too perfect not to use. Now, Sandy had been fighting with the record label. With a little give and take and compromise achieved, she wanted to be in a band, they wanted to push her. They won in changing the band name to Saraya, her middle name. She won on the album cover. They wanted to push her and her sex appeal a la Lita Ford and Femme Fatale's Lorraine Lewis, but that just wasn't her. She wanted the album cover with the band in shadow. Unless you were familiar with the band, you wouldn't even know there was a female singer. At least not from the album cover. To keep the band feeling, Sandy also always went on interviews with at least one other band member. Now, obviously, everybody wanted to talk to Sandy as A, she's gorgeous, and B, she's the lead singer in the band. She fought hard not to push her gender for sex appeal. She says it was great for Lita and Lorraine, who were comfortable in their own skin in that way, but it just didn't feel right for her. The band on the debut was Sandy Saraya on vocals, Greg Munier on keyboard, including the Hammond organ, which Sandy hates as an instrument, Tony Bruno Ray on guitar, Chuck Bonfanti on drums, and Gary Taylor on bass. The band was being looked at by the label as the next Bon Jovi. Pretty high hopes, but they did put out a really solid album. They toured for that album, headlining clubs and small theaters, later opening for the band Bad English. With Bad English, Tony quickly bonded with Neil Schon and Dean Castronovo. Sandy is not a partier, so she would hang out for a bit and then head to the hotel room. In the morning, she would wrangle up her band members and any friends they met the night before, and lived the rock star life vicariously through her bandmates, hearing about the tales of debauchery from the night before. One rock star that Sandy did eventually start a friendship with was Brian Wheat of Tesla. They then developed a romance and were later married. Brian suggested Saraya join their management Q Prime, who also had bands like Def Leppard, Metallica, and Tesla. After breaking free of their contract with David Sonnenberg, they signed with Q Prime. Might have been a mistake looking back. They went from being a manager's top priority to being a small fish in a big pond. Album number 2 recording was underway. The songs were more of what Sandy had in mind for the band from the beginning. More guitar heavy, featuring less keyboards. The songs were longer, darker, and more epic. and the direction didn't sit well with Greg. He started to feel that he really didn't have a place in the band, and he quit. He's listed as an additional musician on the album. They also changed bass players. Barry Dunaway stepped in. He had played with Yngwie Malmsteen. They also added John Roggio as a second guitarist for touring. The second album, When the Blackbird Sings, was released in 1991. The song White Highway was a plea to a friend to find help for substance abuse. Sandy was reluctant to say who it was, but did say he survived the behavior. However, Tony stated in another interview that it was about keyboardist Greg Munier. To support the album, the band toured with the band Badlands. They didn't really get along with Jake E. Lee as well as with Neil Schon. They said Ray Gillen was cool. However, Badlands made them feel like an opening act, whereas Bad English made them feel like they were on tour together. At some point, the band was tapped to have a song on the Shocker soundtrack. The soundtrack's awesome, by the way. It was really just Sandy and Tony who played on the track, however. They recorded the song Timeless Love, which was written and produced by Desmond Child. At one point, while Desmond was producing, he literally had Sandy in heavy chains, big heavy chains, and wanted her to sing like she wanted to break free of them. Strange as that sounds, Sandy said Desmond did bring out the emotion in the song, in her voice, and had her hit notes she had never hit before. About 6 months after Blackbird came out, the band called it quits. Sandy left the band for a couple reasons. Reason number one was to try to make her marriage to Brian Wheat work. The tour schedules of the band, etc., had just made marriage impossible. Ultimately, the move didn't pay off. However, she says today Brian is one of her best friends and that his wife is an angel. She also left because she was totally disgusted and repulsed by the business side of the music business. After leaving, she was still receiving offers to play in other bands, perform with people, but she really was just completely disillusioned with the business side of music business. She also found God and became much more spiritual. She's gotten remarried and has 5 kids. Greg, unfortunately, passed away in 2006 with complications from pneumonia. Tony has had a great career in music. He was with Joan Jett for a number of years, then Enrique Iglesias, Rhianna, and others. As a matter of fact, he's the one who put Rhianna and Nuno Betancourt together. Tony and Sandy are also making music again together. Although I have not heard an update on that in a while, but as of 2019, they had 2 songs completely done and a few more written. Apparently, Sandy sounds great, and I'm really looking forward to those songs finally getting released. There's also a couple of songs from sessions from the first album and other demos they had done throughout the years. There's some bootlegs going around with those demos if you look for them. As far as the 2 albums that they left us with, fans and the band are pretty evenly split on which one they like better. Tony likes the debut. Sandy hates how her vocals are overproduced on some of the tracks and prefers album number 2. How about you guys? Which one do you like better? Alright, so here's my memory of the first and only time I saw Saraya. Not a spectacular story, but it's my memory I'm going to share with you guys. So this was at Milwaukee's Summerfest. If you're not familiar with Summerfest, Guinness Book had certified it the world's largest music festival. It has since been surpassed by a festival in Europe. Anyway, it is huge. There are a million stages out there. Everybody plays there. There's, the rock stage, the country stage, the comedy stage, the main stage, and a million other stages sponsored by this beer or that beer or whatever. So it's huge. And we saw so many great bands there. I mean, Jackal, Dokken, Wildside, Poison, Tesla, Warrant, Motley Crue just played there last weekend. It's going on right now. Scorpions, David Lee Roth. I mean, a million bands. Anyway, on this particular night, Warrant was playing. I believe it was the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour, so probably would have had Trickster and Firehouse there too. They were playing on the main stage. Saraya was on the rock stage. And we're watching Warrant, and I decide, yep, I'm going to stay and watch the rest of Warrant. My buddy wants to go see Saraya, so he takes off halfway through Warrant's set, gets to the rock stage. Soon as Warrant ends, I zip out of there, and this place is huge. And the main stage and the rock stage are complete opposites of the festival. And there's a lot of people. I mean, it is just like a herd of cattle in there. You cannot move. So I'm zipping as fast as I can, zipping in between, in and out of people, getting to the rock stage as quick as I can. My buddy's about 6'4", 6'5", so I see him standing there, and I make my way through the Saraya crowd. Saraya's playing. I get up to him, and I'm like, all right, man, what did I miss? As soon as the first song ends, what did I miss? nothing. They were way late. This is the first song. So I got to see all of Warrant and all of Saraya. He unfortunately missed like at least half of the Warrant show. Things worked out pretty good at Summerfest for me, I have to say. We got backstage a couple times, caught Stephen Piercy's bandana when he was in Arcade. Lots of good memories there. So anyway, that was my one and only time I saw Saraya, and luckily all I missed was about a quarter of a song. So good times. All right, let's play some music samples, and I will catch up with you to wrap things up at the end of the video.
Halfway around the world, you're halfway gone. Please don't say you're leaving. I know where I belong. I see only you in every face I meet. I may not say I love you, sugar, but I sure know what it means. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Take my heart, take my soul. Love has taken its toll.
All right, so that was a little bit on Saraya. Where can you find them? Well, they've been on the streaming services. They left the streaming services. You're just going to have to check to see if they're there this week or not. Their albums have been re-released on Bad Reputation Records, both of them, so you can find them there. It's probably the best place to find them. And you can also find them in the secondary market, but I'd go Bad Reputation Records and pick them up there. All right, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.